Hello and welcome to a bright and sunny day. So sunny, in fact, I've got the door open, which is why you probably can hear the birds tweeting in the background. And they've gone silent on me now, but you will do in a moment. So this is the construction video for the mini fairy Santos doll. So when you get yours, this is what you'll get. So, hello Mr. Nip. So Mr. Nippy is tap dancing next to me as well. Oh, he's just put his chin on my knee. Hello darling. Daddy's working, sweetie pie. So just open the bag up and show you what you get in your little rainy day kit. So I'll put the bag to one side. So you should have 4 brads or split pins, depending on where you are in the world and what you call them. A little butterfly laser cut shape with no antenna, because these are going to go on the back of our fairy doll. A sheet of laser cut shapes and a sheet of faces to choose which ones you want to use. So what we need to do is just to pop these out from the sheet, and they are literally, they're very simple. They literally just pop out with your fingernail like so. So those 3 uprights should just fall out along with those 2. The little heart shape, the fleur-de-lis. What I do, if it does get a little bit difficult, which it won't do, because that's just the way we've done them, don't lose that, because that's for the butterfly. That's the spacer for the butterfly. The crown is only tabbed at the bottom, not at the top, so that there's no problem with breakage. And literally it all just pops out the sheet like that, and then you can either keep that or throw it away. Entirely up to you. All right, so this is what we're left with. So I'll quickly run through the pieces and show you what they are. So the 2 larger circles are your base. One will sit on top of the other. The smaller circle is your top. You'll need to line up the slotted holes, because that's where your torso will fit, and that should go all the way through, so there's no problem with lining that up. And then you have your 5 uprights that will fit into the slots like so, once you've got some glue. So, and then they will fit into the top piece. Don't glue the base, or you can glue the base straight away, but don't glue these together straight away, because you'll need to see where they're going into those holes first, like so. It makes it a lot easier if you can see where you're going, so I wouldn't glue that just yet. In fact, what you could do is you could do it the other way around if you wanted to. You could stick them in the top first and then do the base the same way, but either way, top or bottom, don't glue one, because you'll need to see where they're going to go first of all, but I'll show you that in a little while. So those are your pieces. So the first job to do is to grab an emery board and just gently rub away those little tabs where everything was held together. So I have my emery board here. So all I need to do is just gently just file away the little nubbins. Just spend a minute or 2 doing that. So I'll go away and do all of the nubbins on the pieces, and then I'll be right back. And it's easy to see where the nubbins are, because you can see there's a lighter mark just where it was held. And that's literally all you need to do. Just rub it with your finger and you'll be able to feel that the marker's gone. There we go. So I'll be right back. all right, you can come in. I'm on fast forward.
Come on, Nippy.
He keeps putting his head on my lap.
I know. Come on, Bubba. Come on. Come on, come and take your wing out.
Okay, let's put those brads to one side because we're not going to be using those just yet. So I'll put those safe in a little tub out of the way. So you're going to need some PVA glue. I'm using Indigo Blue Grab and Go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue together the pieces that I want to be stable and dry before I come to paint them. So it doesn't matter which way around you do it, which side you stick your little spacer on, and this is going to be the back and hidden so you won't see any glue at all. So I'm going to put that to one side, and then I'm going to start gluing my base together. Now I'm going to glue this together. Just give that a bit of a squidge just to make sure the glue distributes, and then just hold it together so that you know you've got the shape that you need, and leave that to dry. Now you can create your cage first if you want to, then paint it, or you can paint all your pieces individually and then glue together. I prefer to paint once it's actually created. So I'm just going to pop one tiny little bead of glue in each of the holes, and if you have a small brush, a little detail brush to hand with a little bit of water to wipe away any of the glue as it squidges out, then that would be really handy. So as you can see, I'm just placing each of the uprights in the hole like so. Then I'm going to take a little bit of glue. You don't need a lot, just a hint really. Excuse me. And then you can start feeding in your uprights one by one. Don't worry if it jumps back out again. The glue won't grab immediately, but as long as you've got everything in, then what you can do is to grab your next piece, put the glue underneath, line up your holes, and then flip it over, and then you can push down. and then flip it back over again. And if you want to double check to make sure you've got your slotted piece in the right place, grab your torso piece and just fit that in. There we go. But you can pretty much see whether you've got it lined up correctly or not. There we go. Just like that. And then set that to one side to dry. There we go. I haven't glued that in yet. It's just to make sure that the holes are aligned. And if you get your brush with the water, you can just quickly just go in there and just wipe away any excess glue. There we go. So we'll let that dry for a minute and then we'll be right back. So while your skirt piece or cage piece is drying, and as the butterfly is drying, you can grab a pencil and then you can just draw onto your doll where you want the neckline to come. Now you may want to do a circular scoop neckline or a V-neck. It's entirely up to you. You will be painting over this, so I wouldn't worry too much. And again, the same with the sleeve line. Just draw the line on your arm where you want that to be. Now I'm using for the face and the skin tone, I'm using some indigo blue acrylic paint. This is called Fair. You can, if you want to, depending on the colour of your skin or whatever ethnicity you want to use, you can go hot cocoa, which is a darker brown, or even lighter still. There's a porcelain, and this one is also a medium beige, which as you can see is a little bit darker, and they just keep getting darker and darker and darker. So the indigo blue portrait collection have some really nice paints for different kind of skin tones, going from the, like I said, the very, very palest to quite dark. So there's something there for everyone. So I'm just going to grab a quick, or should I say a small detail brush, and I'm just going to use the paint in the lid, and then I'm going to just paint in, don't want too much on the brush to start off with, the neckline. And it doesn't have to be too exact at this point, because you can always cover over when you paint your main body colour. Now you may notice as well that I am not using white gesso to paint everything first. White gesso really is a preference thing with these. If you're painting directly onto wood with acrylic paint, you'll probably need 2 coats anyway, and the first coat will act as that primer layer. Now depending on the vibrancy of the colour that you want, then you can do a white coat first of all, because that will then act as a lighter base in which to paint on. So if you're wanting a really bright, vibrant colour, then do a coat of white gesso first. If you're wanting a more aged, kind of antique look, which is what I like, you can just go straight on with the paint. I mean, you may want to do one which is really, really whimsical, and you may want to do green skin for your fairy, or purple skin, depending on what type of fairy you want yours to be. Or you may not even want to add the wings on at all, in which case you can customize to your heart's content. So this piece is a spacer piece for the head. If you wanted the head to stand a bit prouder, you don't have to paint this, because you will be gluing this directly down onto there anyway, and then putting your face that you're going to cut out onto there. So you don't have to paint that. So literally that is just where the skin is going to show. So I'm just going to let that dry au naturel. You can use a heat gun if you want to, if time's an issue. It isn't for me, because I'm going to stop for a bit of lunch in a moment. I'm going to let those dry au naturel, and then we'll come back after I've filled my belly. So lunch is finished. That's dried. So now, looking at it, I can probably get away with doing a second coat. Because you don't have to. If you feel that you've done enough, then that's fine. There we go. And then I'll just, sometimes you see the edges of the laser cutting will show through just on a single coat. Sometimes just a little quick second one does the trick. There we go. So we can pop that to one side, or just grab the heat gun, which may be quicker. There we go, much quicker. And then we can move on to painting the rest. So I've already done 2 of these projects. This is just moving this chair a little bit. I've already done 2 of these projects in different colours already. I've done a blue one, a nice turquoisey blue one, and I've also done one that I call Tuscan Red. There you go. And that's Saint Lucia, I believe, on the front, the face. And that's, is it Head de la Mar? Probably. So those are the 2 that I've already done. So for this one, I'm going to do a green one. So those are the samples that I'm going to be using for the Mixed Media Mayhem class, where we'll have lots of people doing lots of different projects in one day. It's all good fun. Let me just switch to a smaller brush, I think, just because I've got a little bit more control. There we go. And then I'll just pick up that green colour. So if you're interested to know what green colour I'm using, this is the Americana Deco Art Americana in olive green. But you can use whatever colour you like. You could do one for every colour of the rainbow if you wanted. That's what I mean about having more control with a smaller brush. Okay, so when you get down towards the bottom, this little square jut out thing, you want to leave unpainted. Now you can go just over, but you need to leave it unpainted, because that's going to be going into that slot just here. And you don't want it thickening up too much or gummed up with paint. Because it'll be difficult to slot it in if you've got too many layers. So I'm going to do that side first, and then I'm going to turn it over and then do the other side. So that gives me the time then to be able to come down here and do the arm pieces. Now you can paint the edges if you want to, but that's a design choice for you. I did on that one, in fact I think I did it on both, but I didn't do it on the butterfly. sometimes the black laser cut marks on there are a good kind of like little accent. It's almost like a black outline. Sometimes it just helps to accentuate. But like I said, it's up to you. Right, on something like this, I've got a little pokey tool, and I'm just going to hold it down. You could just use the point of a craft knife, a needle, a pencil even. Or just your finger, if you don't mind getting your fingers covered in paint. Live dangerously, that's what I always say. Okay, so just for speed, I'm going to give this a quick blast with the old heat gun, but you could go make a cup of tea and come back. There we go. And then we can literally just flip it over. And again, with that pencil, you can then just draw a line around the neckline and then just paint it up to there. So I'll turn all those over, so I know I need to do those. Now, because this bit here is the back of the head, it's up to you what colour you want to paint that. But I recommend whatever picture you choose to stick on the front, look at the colour of the hair on the figure and then decide whether or not you want to paint the back of the head that same colour so that it looks like it's the back of the head, the hair, if you like. That's that one done. And I can see where the line is. And I've just realised I haven't painted the backs of the hands in the porcelain. That's okay. I can come back and do that in a little while. I can see just by lifting and tilting the arm piece whereabouts it is, and bearing in mind this is going to be the back. So you don't necessarily have to pay too much attention, because unless you're really strange, I should imagine you'd be displaying it from the front. And if you are going to display it from the back, well done you for being unconventional. Weird, but unconventional. Okay, again, so I'll give that a quick blast with the heat gun. Alright, so just quickly give that brush a wash. There we go. And I'm going to take that hot cocoa and I'm just going to go over the back of the head and down the neck. I've decided, because I've done two characters already with white faces, that my third one that I'm going to be doing today won't be a white face. There we go. So now that I've decided it won't be a white face, I'm going to change the colour of the hands and the face on the other side. Why not? Alright, so let's flip that over. And I'm going to grab that smaller brush again, just so I've got a little bit more control. Let's change the colour. You see how easy it is. You don't have to, like I say about adding the a primer coat on the wood. Once you've got one layer down, the layer underneath will just act as that kind of primer layer. There we go. And then, because now I've remembered, I'll do the hands. And I can just turn that over. And by the time I finish painting this, the other side will probably, yeah, it's almost dry anyway. Lovely. All right. Okay, so I'm just going to give those a little bit of time to dry and give me a chance to wash my brushes and get ready for the next step, and then I'll be back. All right, so the next stage is to paint your cage section. So I just kind of started, because it's going to be a little bit of a longer process. I'm just going to cover the whole thing in the same paint as the doll's top. And I probably will end up doing 2 coats. So this probably will be the only bit that takes the longest, because it's larger and it's a little bit more intricate, which is why I said earlier you might want to consider painting all the pieces first before gluing it together. But not that it matters. Either way is going to result in the same finished piece. It just depends on your workflow, really, how you prefer to do things. Right, so what I will do, because this is going to take a few minutes and you are literally watching paint dry, is I will go on to fast forward and speed through this bit rather than make you suffer. Okay, so as you can see, I did a quick blast with the heat gun, turned it over so I could hold it, and then I've just gone back over, just giving that top section a little bit of a paint, and then wherever I see any bits where we've missed, I can just touch up or just ignore, depending on what kind of effect you're going for. If you're going for that pristine look, you can go over there. If you want to go for that kind of distressed old vintagey look, you can just leave those bits, the darker bits, wherever they are, wherever they lie. I haven't painted underneath because that's basically the base and I do need it to stand up. So there we go. That's all the pieces in the green painted. So I'm going to just let this sit for a minute and dry. I'll have a quick tidy up. I'm going to paint the butterfly wings in a different colour if you're wondering, and I will get back to that in a little while. So let me just have a quick tidy up, a dry off, and then I'll be right back. So while all those other bits are drying, I've put some gold paint. You can just see it just on the edge of my screen here. And I've got an ink blending foam. And I'm just going to load up the ink blending foam with some gold paint. So just some bog standard gold acrylic paint. And I'm just going to pounce with the crown. And just while I was tidying up and cleaning up, we had a half a dozen ducks just landed in the garden. And they're now wandering around looking for food. So Ian's just gone out to feed them. We've got some special swan and duck food for what we feed the swans and ducks on the canal. So, right, so I've done that side. Again, with the acrylic paint, you can heat dry it quickly, and then we can flip it over. Actually, we don't need to flip it over because we're going to be sticking it down anyway, so we don't need to give it a coat on the back. But as soon as we've got the opportunity, we may as well give it a second coat. Now I'm using the pouncer just to give it a little bit of texture. You could use a brush, but I like just that kind of like hammered gold kind of effect. Love that. And I'm going to leave the gold there, just on the edge there, when we do the butterfly, so that I can just add some gold to the butterfly's wings as well. So we'll just push that crown to one side, and now bring that butterfly in. Now I'm going to use another ink pouncing tool. Actually, let's use a different handle. There we go. And then I'm going to use that same olive green that we used on the body, just on the back of the butterfly's wings. Bearing in mind this is going to be the back of the body, the back of the butterfly, so you're not actually going to see this section. So that bit, sorry, this bit here you will not see because it will be hidden and glued to the back of our character, of our little doll. So I'm using this as a base coat. So again, I'll give that a blast. And then I can flip that over and just use what's left. Like I said, it is a warm day today. I think Bentley's come out. Is he worrying the ducks?
Just chased them off.
Oh dear.
Bentley.
A bit territorial like that. I did say the door was open, didn't I?
Come on.
Okay, so I've got a selection of different coloured kind of greens. Now you might want to add a little bit of contrast to yours. So I've got some desert cactus, and I'm just going to pick up using the same sponge. So this is going to be the front. sorry, the back. This is going to be the bit where you see it on the front of the doll. This will be the back part, so you won't, unless you're planning on displaying it backwards. So again, just give that a quick blast. And then we can flip it over. In fact, I'll keep that on my knee. And then I'm just going to come around the inside, just pouncing lightly, just to kind of blend that colour a little. Remember, I said you're not going to see this bit at all. So now I want a brighter kind of yellow. So I'm just going to drop some really bright yellow down, because you know, yellows and greens go really, really well together, and we'll just mix that up. I'm just lightening the green up. That's it. And now I can go around the outside. So I don't know whether you can see on that one, it's reddish and then goes orange towards the middle. And then on that one, it's that turquoisey colour going to a greeny colour in the middle there. So just to give your wings a bit of variation. And then when this is dry, I will tip and go around the edges in a little bit of that gold. So let me get that dry. And now, just using that gold paint again, I'll just take a little bit on the pouncing tool, not too much, and then I'm just going to go around the edges. Just to kind of give it that little bit of a shimmer. I'm hoping the camera's picking that up. All right, so now, well, a bit of a tidy up and I'll be right back. All right, so just to kind of finish off the preparation, I'm just going to put a little bit of red acrylic paint down. So the only red that I've got is from Amsterdam. It's one of the Amsterdam acrylics, standard series, and this just says red. Pyrrole red, whatever that is. I'm sure somebody will know. And again, I'm just going to go over the little heart shape. So with the kit, you get the heart and the fleur-de-lis. Now you can either use both or just use one. It's entirely up to you. Just for the purposes of this, I'm going to use both. So I'm just going to go around, just adding in a couple of layers of that red paint, and then we'll get it dried off, and then, like I said, we'll be ready to assemble. All right, so I'll pop that red away. As you can see, I've got some vintage photo distress ink here and a stamp. Now I'm going to use this Crackle Effect stamp here from my Journaling Textures 2 stamp set. You get all 3 stamps as little texture stamps. And I'm just going to add a little bit of crackler kind of effect onto the body. So we'll do it on here. So just a bit of subtle crackler stamping, just to kind of break up. You can barely see it. I know you can barely see it, but it's just to kind of break up that texture. My distressing is nearly on its way out. So there's not a lot of ink left in it. So it's perfect for just some subtle texture. There we go. And then I can come across to the stand, and again I can just add just a little bit of subtle texture stamping, just to kind of break up all that green, and again just a little bit on top. Like I said, it does just help just to break it up a little bit. There we go. That will do. That will do nicely. All right. We like subtle. So we're going to start to assemble now. So before I do anything, I've got to choose which one of the faces I'm going to use. And because I said I was going to go with a dark skinned, I'm going to choose this lady here. So I'm just going to nip away and cut her out of the sheet, and then I'll be right back. Good paint all over my fingers. Right, so we're now ready to assemble in stages. So I would advise doing it in this way first of all. So that's the back. Let's stick the butterfly. Actually, no, we're not doing the butterfly yet, are we? Haha, no. We need to attach the arms first. That's important. We must attach the arms first. Okay, so the best way to do it is forearm forward, and then the brad just goes straight through, and then you can just open the arms. And I've done that one the wrong way around, so I've still got some ink on my stamp. Sometimes we just forget. There we go. All right, so forward, forearm forward. And then bend the arms. And then they can go on straight onto the shoulder, straight through, and then out the other side, and then on the shoulder, straight through, flip over, and bend the arms. So we've attached our arms to our doll. Okay, so as I said previously, this piece is really a spacer. It depends whether you want to do that, use it to give it a little bit more height and depth. So because we've got it and it's there, we'll do it. So I'm just going to add a little bit of glue on there, and then just squidge it down on there like that, and then just add a little bit of glue onto the face, and then we can drop that down right over the top. So the faces have been specifically sized that they will fit. And if you really wanted to do it at a bit of a whimsical angle, you can just twist it like so, which is, you know, seems to be the thing. All right, now that should grab fairly quickly. So I'm going to just grab the crown, a little bit of glue on there, and then lay the crown down on her head. If you're using PVA, don't worry, it will completely and utterly dry clear. So don't worry about that. Let's move her over a little bit. We like having them with the heads tilted a little bit. All right, so I'm going to leave that to dry for a minute. We should be okay with that glue there for the second. What we can do though is we can just drop a little bit of glue on the heart as well, and then position that where we want it. And I've got a little bit of green paint on there, which we didn't want. There we go. Perfect. Right, I'm going to leave that for 5 or 6 minutes. I think time enough for me to go and get a cup of tea, and then I'll be back. Okay, so at this stage, everything's just about dry, and I'm going to just add a little bit of additional detailing just around that neckline, just to kind of give it a proper transition. You could do this before you stick it down, obviously. It's entirely up to you. And then just on the cuff line. Give it a little bit of whimsy. Like so. Now at this stage you can, if you want to, lift up your character, flip it over, and then turn it over and then add your wings. And because we've already put the glue on there, that's fine. And then I forgot to mention earlier, I just added a bit of gold to that fleur-de-lis shape. While we had the gold out, but you could do this afterwards. And I'm just going to use the shape, the little fleur-de-lis shape, just add a little bit of glue on there, just as a little bit of additional decoration, and just put it on the back of the butterfly wing. And then I'm going to leave that to dry for a few minutes. Just face down like that, and then I'll be back. Okay, so time to finish off our little figures. Why am I getting flashbacks to Sleeping Beauty? the Disney cartoon, the 3 little fairies. Anyway, yeah, I won't even attempt to sing the song. Right, so all we have to do now, that everything has dried, the butterfly back has dried, the fleur-de-lis dried, as you can see the glue has vanished completely. And we just have to now glue her into, onto a skirt. So all I'm going to do is just add a tiny bead of glue, if I can persuade it to come out. That should do, and that's probably more than we actually need, and a little bit, just a tiny little bit at the back as well. And then I'm going to get a clean brush, a So it's just trying to get some kitchen towel, clean water, or as clean as I can get it anyway. That's got a little bit of castor green to it, that's fine, that's no problem. So what I'm going to do is just paint a little bit of that on, just to kind of smooth it out a little bit. We will get a bit of squidging out, but that's fine, that's what the brush is for. So we'll just clean that, just wet the brush in readiness, and then we can just move your arms out of the way, lady. And then we can just slide the body in, and then just take that damp brush and just wipe away the excess glue, like so. And then that's squidged out. So what that does, when you wipe it away, it pushes the glue into any kind of like remaining gap that there might be. But also makes it disappear as well. So we just need to leave her to sit for a little while, and that's it. We're pretty much done. So there we go. There we have our beautiful mini fairy Santos, or fairy mini Santos dolls, or Santo dolls, depending on what source you look at. And like I said, so these are 10 inches in height, which are a lot smaller than the 18-inch versions, which I've also got on the website too. So these are under the Rainy Day project. But like I said, these will be the ones, or this will be the one that we'll be doing in the Mixed Media Mayhem class with everybody in July. So if you're coming, now you know what you're going to be doing. And if you're not coming, you can buy a kit to do yourself. And I would love to see what you make. If you could upload any sort of photos of any of the creations you've done with my my kits to the Mike Deakin's Creative Collective Facebook group, that'd be lovely. I'll put the thing on the screen here, but there will be a clickable link below the video too, whether you're watching this on YouTube or on my blog. So that's all for me for now. I will see you all again very, very soon. Bye for now. Love these.